am 31 and married to Nalan, 35, a man whose steadiness used to irritate me the way a metronome irritates a jazz musician. He always arrived 10 minutes early, always held the umbrella over me even when it was barely raining, always said let us talk about it tomorrow when I wanted to fight right now. I told myself that dependable was another word for dull, and I collected those words the way some women collect shoes. Saturday evening, we sat under the cedar awning at a new tapas courtyard on the edge of the old rail yard. The air smelled of charcoal and orange peel. Our friends Leela and Mateo had ordered 3 pitchers of sangria and were already laughing too loudly. Nalan was buttering a piece of bread for me, crust to center, exactly the way his mother had taught him. I watched his long fingers and felt a sudden flicker of annoyance, sharp as a paper cut. I leaned across the small table. Your mom really did raise a mama-s boy, did not she? My voice carried farther than I expected. Leela stopped laughing. Mateo set his glass down. I laughed once, a single bark, and tore the bread from Nalan's hand. Look at you, still folding napkins like you are in kindergarten. Nalan's shoulders tightened. The lantern above us buzzed with moths. He looked at me the way a man looks at a stranger who has just spilled coffee on his laptop. I expected him to roll his eyes, to mutter something under his breath. Instead, he pushed back his chair. The iron legs scraped against the flagstones. Do not talk about my mother, he said. His voice was low, almost gentle, and that scared me more than shouting. He laid his napkin on the table, stood, and walked through the courtyard gate into the warm September night. The gate creaked twice and then closed. I stared at the empty chair, at the half-eaten bread, at the red wine stain blooming across the white cloth like a bruise. Leela exhaled. Whoa, Mateo poured more sangria into my glass, though I had not asked. He will cool off, he said, but his tone suggested doubt. I shrugged, lifted my glass, and drank too fast. The cinnamon burned the back of my throat. He is overreacting, I said. It was a joke. Everyone teases their partner. But the table stayed quiet and the courtyard felt suddenly small. At home later that night, the apartment on the 3rd floor of the converted factory echoed. Nalan's keys were missing from the hook shaped like a whale tail. His running shoes were gone from the mat. I told myself he had gone to cool off at the gym. I opened the refrigerator and stared at the leftovers from last night's curry, then slammed the door. I texted him 3 times. Where are you? This is ridiculous. Come home. The messages showed as read at 2:13 a.m., but he did not reply. Sunday morning, I walked the river path alone, earbuds dangling unused around my neck. The sky was the color of wet concrete. I rehearsed what I would say. I am sorry if you were hurt, but you also need to grow thicker skin. I passed the bench where we had once carved our initials into the wood like teenagers, the letters already soft and mossy. My phone buzzed. A single text from Nalan. I will stay at my brother's for a few days. I need space. Space, I snorted. I typed back, space is what you give a child having a tantrum. I deleted the sentence before sending, then typed again, fine. Take your space. I pressed send and felt a flicker of victory, as though withholding apology was the same as winning. Monday at the office, my coworker Priya found me in the break room staring at the vending machine. You look like you have not slept, she said. I told her the story, making myself the misunderstood heroine. She listened, stirring almond milk into her coffee, then said, I mean, calling someone a mama-s boy in front of friends is kind of cruel. Especially if his mom just had that stroke last year. I opened my mouth, then closed it. I had forgotten about the stroke. The memory arrived like a slap. Nalan in the hospital hallway, holding his mother's purse while she slept, his face pale and small. Tuesday evening, I showed up at his brother's loft with takeout from the Thai place he loved. I wore the blue dress he said made my eyes look like sea glass. I rang the bell. Nalan opened the door wearing gym shorts and a faded Northwestern t-shirt. His hair was damp from a shower. Behind him, I glimpsed cardboard boxes stacked against exposed brick. I brought pad thai, I said, lifting the bag. He did not step aside. I am packing. I laughed, short and sharp. Come on. You are going to throw away 8 years over one stupid joke. He looked at me for a long moment. It was not the joke, he said. It was the way you said it, the way you always say things. Like I am a prop in your show. I felt heat rise in my throat. That is not fair. He crossed his arms. Last month at the barbecue, you told everyone I fold laundry like a hotel maid. At your birthday, you joked that the only reason you married me was for the health insurance. Every time I say it hurts, you tell me I am too sensitive. The hallway smelled faintly of turpentine and curry. I shifted my weight. I am sorry, I said. The words tasted like chalk. He studied my face as if trying to see something he had lost. I need more than sorry. I offered to go to couples therapy. I promised to delete Twitter, to write him a poem, to take a pottery class together. Each promise felt thinner than the last. He listened, nodded once, and said, I have already signed a lease. A studio near the lake. I will pick up the rest of my things this weekend. The next weeks blurred. Our friends chose sides with the efficiency of a middle school kickball draft. Leela invited me for coffee and then spent 40 minutes describing how Nolan had helped her move a couch. Mateo stopped answering my texts. My mother called and said maybe I should look inward. I laughed and said she was being dramatic, but the laugh cracked halfway through. I started driving past the lakefront studio at dusk, telling myself I just liked that route. Once I saw him on the balcony watering a row of tomato plants. He wore headphones and danced a small, private shuffle. The sight made something twist behind my ribs. I sent flowers to his office. I mailed a card with a long letter full of metaphors about storms and anchors. He replied with one sentence, I wish you peace. I told myself he was being petty. I told myself a lot of things. October arrived in gusts of burnt sugar and wood smoke. I signed the divorce papers the same day the first snow fell, fat flakes dissolving on the windshield of my car. He had already hired a mediator, already divided the books and the camping gear. He moved to Portland 2 weeks later for a job he had not told me he applied for. I found out from Instagram, a photo of him and new colleagues clinking mugs of craft beer. Someone had captioned it, Welcome to the team, Nolan. He looked lighter, as if someone had removed lead from the lining of his jacket. I stayed in the factory loft, which now felt cavernous. I bought plants and killed them. I adopted a cat and returned it after 3 days. I ran along the river and pretended the ache in my chest was only physical. Last week I walked past the cedar awning of the tapas place. They had replaced the lanterns with string lights. A couple sat at our old table, the woman feeding the man a slice of orange, both of them laughing without fear. I stood on the sidewalk until my fingers went numb inside my pockets. I understand now that respect is not a garnish you sprinkle when guests are watching. It is the plate itself. Without it, everything else slides off. Some nights I open the box of photos I finally took down from the hallway wall. In most of them I am looking at the camera, and he is looking at me. I trace the curve of his smile and feel the full weight of what I mocked. The photos smell faintly of cedar and regret.